Hello class, Ryan Robert here, and for this week's discussion I decided to talk about the Cowpens National Battlefield in South Carolina. And what we can learn from it. So my references are included in the abstract. So the Battle of Cowpens, it occurred January 17th, 1781, saw General Daniel Morgan's Continental forces face off against Colonel Banastre Tarleton's British Legion. As Thomas Fleming states, it was a decisive victory for the Americans, and eventually led to the success in the Southern campaign. On the National Parks website, they say the Continentals were able to capitalize on terrain, knowledge of their enemy, and the capabilities of their own forces to bring about a success. In the battle, you see a double envelopment that pretty much destroyed the British forces as an effective fighting force as a result of the battle. The battle only occurred for about an hour, and at the end of it, the British had 110 dead, 200 wounded, 500 captured, and Morgan's forces lost only 12 killed and 60 wounded. So you had the British forces losing roughly about 85% of their force, and the Continentals losing only about 10%. This battle, along with the Battle of Kings Mountain, is credited with turning the tide of the Southern campaign in favor of the Americans, and this culminated with the siege of Yorktown and the surrender of Cornwallis. All in all, excuse me. All in all, Cowpens National Battlefield in South Carolina, they offer reenactments, ranger-guided tours, and staff rides where casual tourists, historians, and military professionals can learn about the history and how to apply it to the present and the future. So with my military background, whenever I was thinking about what we can learn from this, this battlefield would offer, a great place of learning and development, because Morgan delivered a masterpiece in generalship, because, he knew the terrain, his men, and his enemy. So the Staff Ride Handbook, published by the Army, describes the benefits of bringing the past to life as a way to still be applicable to the modern military professional. So the staff ride uses examples of that past to reinforce lessons of leadership, tactics, strategy, communications, use of terrain, and the psychology of men during battle. So a couple of prime examples. Akers' article talks about the militia being asked by Morgan to fire 3 shots in retreat. Morgan knew the militia couldn't stand up to the attack by the Legion, so he didn't ask them to. So he accounted for that in his battle plan and put them behind a line of skirmishers and said basically, hey, fire your 3 volleys and retreat. Not only did the militia deliver the shots after they retreated, they were able to reform and flank the British on their left flank, and this completed the double envelopment because Morgan had his cavalry concealed behind the terrain, and they had flanked the British on the right flank. All right, so those 2 flanking maneuvers showed how Morgan trusted his subordinates. He didn't micromanage. Great example in the Army of what we call mission command philosophy. Also, with knowing his enemy, Morgan knew Tarleton had a reputation for being impatient, aggressive, and also looked down upon the militia. So he arrayed his forces on this battlefield with this knowledge, and it helped him to victory because he presented what he knew Tarleton might bite off of, with the militia up front and his Continental regulars in the back, kind of reverse slope from the the enemy. So I could talk about all sorts of lessons from this battle, but I'd really go over time. So that's my post for the week. Looking forward to the responses. Also seeing the rest of the class's posts. Have a great week.